The dusty plain stretched endlessly before us, the creak of the wagon wheels cutting through the silence as the sun dipped low on the horizon. She stood there, her red hair peeking out from beneath a wide-brimmed hat, her green eyes locked onto mine with an intensity that made my heart race. The air was thick with the scent of dry grass and the faint hint of whiskey from the flask tucked in my coat. I could see the suitcase in her hand, a symbol of her journey, and the rifle slung over her shoulder, hinting at a life far tougher than her delicate frame suggested. She told me she was no virgin, her voice steady and unapologetic, and those words hung between us like a challenge. My pulse quickened, and despite the warnings screaming in my mind, I stepped closer, drawn to her like a moth to a flame. The wagon rocked slightly as the driver adjusted the reins, his silhouette a dark blur against the fading light. She didn't flinch as I closed the distance, her gaze unwavering, a mix of defiance and curiosity flickering in her eyes. I could feel the heat radiating from her, the rough fabric of her dress brushing against my hand as I reached out. Her confession echoed in my ears, bold and unashamed, and it stirred something wild within me. The others around the wagon, men in dusty hats and weathered coats, paid us no mind, lost in their own thoughts or the monotony of the trail. But for me, the world narrowed to just her, and I lost control, my arms pulling her close as if to claim her right there in the open. Her breath hitched as I held her, the suitcase slipping slightly in her grip, but she didn't pull away. The rifle bumped against my side, a stark reminder of the dangers we might face, yet it only fueled the fire burning inside me. The wind picked up, carrying whispers of the tales we'd heard, of outlaws and lost souls haunting these plains, and her closeness felt like a rebellion against that uncertainty. She tilted her head, her lips parting as if to speak, but no words came. Instead, her hand rested on my chest, and I could feel the steady beat of her heart beneath her palm, matching the erratic rhythm of my own. I was lost, consumed by the moment, the boundaries of right and wrong blurring into nothingness. The driver called out, a gruff voice breaking the spell, urging us to board as the night deepened. She stepped back, her expression unreadable, but her hand lingered on me for a heartbeat longer. I followed her to the wagon, my mind a whirlwind of desire and doubt, the whiskey tales of passion and ruin playing in my head. The other passengers shifted to make room, their faces etched with the weariness of the road, but I barely noticed them. All I could see was her silhouette against the wagon's weathered wood, the way her hat cast shadows over her features, making her seem both familiar and untouchable. I sat beside her, our knees brushing, and the tension between us crackled like a storm about to break. As the wagon jolted forward, the rhythm of the wheels syncing with the pounding in my chest, she leaned closer, her voice a low murmur meant only for me. She spoke of the life she'd left behind, a story of survival and defiance, each word painting a picture of a woman who'd carved her own path. I listened, captivated, my hand resting near hers on the rough bench, fingers itching to close the gap. The night air grew cooler, but her presence was a furnace, drawing me in deeper. I wanted to ask her more, to unravel the mystery of her past, but the words caught in my throat, replaced by a raw need I couldn't suppress. I lost control again, my hand finding hers, our fingers intertwining as the wagon rolled on. The stars emerged, scattered across the sky like forgotten promises, and the conversation faded into a comfortable silence. Her head rested against my shoulder, a gesture so simple yet so intimate it sent a shiver down my spine. The rifle lay across her lap, a silent guardian, while the suitcase sat at our feet, a testament to her journey's end or perhaps its beginning. I could smell the faint lavender of her hair, a stark contrast to the earthy scents around us, and it intoxicated me further. The driver hummed a tune, oblivious to the storm brewing within me, and I fought to keep my composure, knowing I was teetering on the edge of something dangerous and irresistible. Hours passed, the wagon's journey a steady pulse beneath us, and the tension between us grew thicker with each mile. She shifted, her hand tightening around mine, and I turned to meet her gaze, finding a spark there that mirrored my own. The confession she'd made earlier replayed in my mind, fueling a reckless desire to claim her, to erase the distance between who we were and what we could be. The wagon hit a bump, throwing us closer, and her laughter rang out, light and unguarded, breaking through my haze. But it only deepened my longing, and I pulled her closer still, my lips brushing her ear as I whispered words I hadn't planned, words that sealed my fate. The night deepened, the wagon's lanterns casting flickering shadows over her face, highlighting the curve of her jaw and the determination in her eyes. She responded to my whisper with a nod, a silent agreement that set my blood ablaze. The other passengers slept or stared blankly ahead, unaware of the pact forming between us. I traced the outline of her hand with my thumb, each touch a silent promise, and she leaned into me, her trust a weight I wasn't sure I deserved. The whiskey tales I'd heard, of men undone by passion, flashed through my mind, but I pushed them aside, lost in the reality of her warmth against me. Control slipped away, replaced by a hunger I couldn't deny. Dawn approached, the first light painting the horizon in shades of gold and pink, and the wagon slowed as we neared a town. She stirred, lifting her head from my shoulder, her eyes meeting mine with a clarity that made my breath catch. The journey had changed us, bound us in ways I couldn't yet name, and as we prepared to disembark, I knew I'd follow her wherever she led. The suitcase was retrieved, the rifle slung back over her shoulder, and she stood tall, a figure of strength and mystery. I took her hand again, the connection unbroken, and stepped into the new day with her, lost to the world and found in her.